Hey monkeys, how you doing? Damian Keys here. So I want to ask you a question. That question is, what is the first album that you ever bought? Now this is really important because it kind of signifies a moment in time of your life, and obviously music plays such a big part, and that first album that you bought, it's got the nostalgia in it. It's a way that we can all kind of get together and judge each other in a kind of comical way. But let me tell you my first album that I bought. So the first album I ever bought was Queen Greatest Hits. I was a massive fan of Queen, and whilst I had other albums which had been given to me, that was my first kind of album that I bought. This is back in the day when you did buy music, and it won't be long before we won't even be able to have this conversation because no one will have gone and bought an album. So I want to know what your first album that you bought is. And it can be as embarrassing, because, you know, when you're a kid, you do embarrassing stuff. Morgan, what was the first album you ever bought?
Well, the first album I ever bought myself was actually a single, and it was Jedward, Under Pressure, featuring Vanilla Ice when they first got off the X Factor.
Perfect. So Jedward was your first book purchase.
All right, stop, collaborate and listen. Jedward's back with a brand new invention.
Katie?
Mine was Shaggy.
Shaggy, of course it was.
Wasn't me.
So it's kind of a rite of passage to buy music and buy an album. So there's a reason I want to talk about this, because whilst I genuinely do want to know what your first album that you bought was, I want you to comment below. This is very, very important to do this. But there is method to this, because this is a playlist about social media. And because social media has changed, and if you haven't seen the videos leading up in this playlist, you should go back and watch them, because effectively, in a very small sum up, the algorithms changed, social media's changed so much over the last 6 months that people are complaining about it, and they become some kind of expert in what social media used to do and what it should do, and they're not spending time actually getting their product out there, getting their music out there. And so that's what this playlist is about, is how to trigger that algorithm today. And so the reason why I've done this video and asked this question is because in order to trigger the algorithm, you need to be getting engagement. You need to be doing remarkable stuff. And by remarkable, I don't mean crazy, outstanding stuff. I mean stuff that people will want to remark on. So therefore, asking a question is the simplest way of actually triggering someone's thought process. Now, there's a reason for this. Not that I want to delve too much into psychology, but what this does is, this triggers our need to be in a community, but at the same time, it also triggers the need to talk about ourselves. And studies have shown that people talk about themselves for 80% of the time. So allow people to talk about themselves for 80% of the time, and what they'll probably do is end up talking about you for the other 20%. So it's inherent in us. The other thing it does is it triggers our fear of missing out, of not being involved in something. All of these kind of slight psychological traits are being triggered just by asking a question and allowing people into the world to take part in this community. But what you're actually doing is you're actually triggering the Facebook algorithm, because that's what Facebook wants. Facebook wants you to actually get engagement. It wants you to get likes. It wants you to get shares. It wants you to get comments. If you get 30 comments, your reach as such will actually grow, because Facebook is saying, oh, this is interesting, I'll show it to a few more people. And if they comment, it says, oh, this is interesting, I'll show it to a few more people. So when you don't allow people into the conversation, nobody will get involved, and Facebook will say, this isn't very important, I won't bother showing it to anyone else, and your reach is cut off. Now, yes, the reach has been stagnated by Facebook, but this is a really simple idea that you need to use on every single post to ask a question or to find a way to get people involved. Simple thing, but again, something that isn't being done and can be changed instantly. Today, the next post you put up can have this question. But more importantly, I want to know, what was your first album you ever bought? So mine was Queen Greatest Hits, Morgan's was Jedward, Katie's was Shaggy. So I want to know what your first single or album that you ever bought is, and I want you to leave a comment below, because A, that'll trigger my algorithm, but B, I genuinely am interested so I can judge you. Good, so do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, all the usual stuff, comment below with all your first album, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.